Hello and welcome, the Mexican Conservative. This is the show The Brief, and I am your host, the Mexican Conservative. Today I want to talk about the differences between a Republican and a conservative. Now, a lot of people seem to view this as one and the same. If you're a Republican, then you must be a conservative. If you're a conservative, you must be a Republican. I'm here to tell you that's not always true. There are a lot of major differences between Republicans and conservatives. A Republican's going to sit there and toe the party line. When you're a Republican and you're going to follow what the party says, you're going to do as they say, believe as they say, and not question exactly everything that they say. So when the party deviates from conservative viewpoints, that's when you see them losing elections and not being able to take seats in Congress and so on and so forth. Now, a conservative, there are two different types of conservatives. There's a social conservative, and then there's a fiscal conservative. I kind of consider myself a mixture between the two. I share viewpoints from both. Social conservative is someone who believes in minimizing the. A social conservative has this viewpoint of the world where they have very traditional values and they have very traditional ways of thinking about civil rights and individual rights that just can't simply be washed away by government. A fiscal conservative believes in smaller government. They believe that the federal government should be so large, it shouldn't have as much power as it has, and it's stuff like that. Like I said, I consider myself a mixture of the two. I believe in states' rights. I believe we should go back to a time when the states had a little bit more say in what they do than the overreaching powers of the federal government. Now, I understand that the reason that the way the world is right now here in the U.S. is because of two things. The federal government got larger because of world wars, and it got larger because it needed to meet the needs of a changing world. Understandable. And it also got that way of less states' rights because of things like the Civil War. During the Civil War, when states had more freedom and more power to do as they please, they were able to split off and do things that are not agreeable to modern day lifestyle. Institutions like slavery and stuff like that existed in the South, and they believed that they had the right to do so because they were not beholden to the federal government and that the state government should have more power. That comes under the Articles of Confederation, where the states actually have more power than the federal government. The founders threw that out for good reason, because with the states having so much power, then you create a bunch of tiny countries instead of one country. So the difference between a Republican and a conservative is this. A Republican, like I said earlier, will toe the party line and will follow it very strictly what the party believes. Whereas a conservative will go, well, I don't agree with that. You want to increase the size of government? That's not my thing. Or you're taking away individual rights, and a social conservative viewpoint, and so they don't vote the way of the party, whereas a Republican will vote the way of the party. So there's a difference between a Republican and a conservative. They're not really interchangeable. Yes, are there a lot of conservatives in the Republican Party? Yes, because usually their viewpoints align with ours. Are there a lot of conservatives in other parties? Yes. There is a thing called the Blue Dog Democrats, where there are conservative Democrats. And then a lot of conservatives also find a home in the Libertarian Party, and they are libertarian conservatives, which I guess would be where I more line up. I'm not a member of the Libertarian Party. I'm not really a member of any party. Well, I vote in the Republican primary, so therefore I guess that makes me a member of the Republican Party. But at the same time, I don't always follow party lines. I have voted against the Republican Party on a couple of occasions. I have switched sides, as it were, to the other side because I didn't agree with what the leading Republican was saying, and I agreed more either with a Democrat or a Libertarian candidate, more so than I did with the Republican, because I didn't feel like they were being true to the conservative belief, which I hold more true than Republican belief. So there is a significant difference between the two. It's just that the Republican Party and Republicans are more closely related to conservatives than the other way around with Democrats and liberals. What you have nowadays, though, is a thing where there's these blue dog Democrats who are conservative inside the Democratic Party are now slowly starting to filter over into the Libertarian and Republican Party and leave their own because it's becoming too extreme. They're not sharing almost any of the viewpoint of their conservative constituents anymore. And that's a great thing about being conservative is that you're kind of towards the middle, so therefore you sway from side to side depending upon who's better representing your beliefs and your viewpoint. So therefore, it just seems to me that there's a significant difference. That's why on my channel it's called The Mexican Conservative. I'm not a Republican, like a hardline Republican. I don't believe in the factions that make up the alt-right. There's the alt-right and there's the extreme right, just to make sure that that's noted as well. I don't agree with a lot of what they say, a lot of their belief systems. They're the extreme end of the Republican and conservative spectrum, which is a bit disconcerting. But then in the other direction, you have, the Blue Dog Democrats, then the Democrats, and then the liberal Democrats, liberals, and socialists. So I guess being towards the middle is a lot better idea than being at the extreme ends. See, I believe in a nation of laws as part of my core beliefs. I believe if the law is the law. And if you want to modify that law, that's fine. But as the law still exists, you should adhere to the law. Whereas a lot of people on the left think that the law is malleable. You can listen to it or you can't. You don't have to follow the rules. And that thing, I think, comes a lot from the younger generation. They've been brought up in a society where they don't have to follow the rules all the time. And that is very bad for the country because those type of young people are the ones that are members of Antifa. They're the ones that are doing these extreme things in the name of not having to follow the rules and their own beliefs. I feel like the conservatives are kind of tossed in with these other political groups when it feels more to me like there should be a conservative party, a party made up of just conservatives, fiscal and social conservatives, because it's not just a viewpoint anymore. It's becoming its own identity. Because, again, you can be conservative and not be Republican. Whereas, it just feels like there needs to be this separation between the two. Conservative beliefs normally line up with Republican beliefs, but they don't always. So there needs to be something, I think there's the founding of a new party, the Conservative Party, and pull people away from the Republicans, pull people from the Libertarians and the Democrats, and say, we're all conservatives, we all agree on the basic of the same thing, and together we can actually create a more powerful, more unified group than you would being Republican or being Democrat. Because as much as the Democrats try to show that they are some kind of united front against everybody, there's some severe factions and disillusion inside their own party. I mean, when you have people who are conservative Democrats leaving, people who were staunch Democrats now being sucked into this wormhole of belief because the extreme elements of their party are now taking control, and they've been given a choice of you either have to follow us or you're against us. And then you see people switching sides, leaving the Democratic Party and going to the Republican Party or Libertarian Party, leaving to get away from that. That's just my personal belief. I believe that the conservative and Republican are two different things. They're two different types of people, and that there should be like a party for conservatives. Because the Republican Party, I believe, is no longer the party of the conservative. It's the party of the Republican. All right, well, that's going to do it for me today. This has been a brief. If you guys like it, please hit that like button and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. If you guys leave a comment, I'll try to answer and get back to you. If I get enough comments on a video, I'll actually make a comment video. If you guys are interested, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. You can also post your comments and stuff there. You will also be able to see my latest videos getting posted because I always put them up on there as well the day that I post them. So just remember, we are here, and we are here because we disagree.